All right. Now it's time for some fantasy football. We got our guy D Nasty back. Dave, what a crazy weekend of football, my man.
Yes, it was. And I got to see one of the craziest games. The Packers pulled out the win with Malik Willis leading them with
That
a ball being puked down by their center as well on one of the plays.
one of the bets I made that won, I wish I had made it better. I bet the Packers +3. I was like, you know what? I was like, that Cole's rushing D is horrible. I was thinking, but I had a rough weekend, but that was one of the bright spots. But man, I tell you, yeah, I mean, how terrible is that defense coordinator on the Colts? It's like you just stop Malik Willis, dude. And there's a
Yeah.
dinking and dunking he did, of course, but I mean, seriously, guys, that you if you can't stop Malik Willis, that's pretty bad, Dave.
Oh, yeah, I agree. But Josh Jacobs was a beast, though, too. He was just running all over him, too. So he did look really, really good. But
I
yeah,
mean, I wish he didn't fumble. I would have had even more fantasy points if he didn't
oh,
fumble
yeah,
on
that
that.
fumble was huge.
I
Yeah. And then
know.
I was actually shocked that Matt LaFleur didn't mix it up a little bit more in the second half. He still had an awesome game plan, probably one of his best games that he's called, but
Yeah.
definitely got to switch it up more in the second half and go away from the run a little bit after they're stacking the box.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, there's some bad coaching all over the place. Sean Payton just going for field goals and shit when he's losing. There's some just head scratching stuff this weekend. It's just kind of blows my mind a little bit seeing it. But here we are, man. It's fantasy week 3, and we got some pretty serious injuries this week, Dave. No bye weeks. Do you want to do the injuries? Why don't you want to start talking about this terrible stuff?
Yeah, this is just it's very, very sad to see, but Tua with the concussion, that's the most major one, and that's definitely gonna have the biggest fantasy impact as well. But just overall, prayers go out and thoughts go out to him and his family. Hopefully, he does come back still, but who knows what he's gonna do? Just make the best decision for him. But that's a brutal injury though, so very sorry to see and hear that injury. Jeff Wilson, bleak injury. A lot of people picked him up this past week, and we even talked about picking him up, but he didn't really do much actually. Esham actually led the backfield this week, but another big one that I have in several leagues that's really is killing me actually, Isaiah Pachinko. That he's down for 6 to 8 weeks. They're going to be putting him on IR as well. This is just crushes me. My 2 starting running backs in one of my league are both got injured, which leads me to my next injury, Joe Mixon. I was watching that game then too, and then he goes down as well, the high ankle sprain possibly. They said an ankle injury for sure, but they're not sure how long he's going to be out for Mixon. But definitely we'll talk about who to fill in with those guys. Another ankle injury. This is killing my teams. Cooper Kupp, the ankle injury. They said they're not going to put him on IR yet. They said it's going to be a multiple week injury though, so definitely not playing this next week. They said multiple week. They haven't said more than that. He might miss at least the one. Could miss up to 5 weeks, but they're saying there's another couple people that are saying he could miss 1 to 2 weeks otherwise though too. So I was
I mean, behind that offensive line, Dave, that's everybody's injured. You got to stay away from your Rams, man. It's not good.
Yeah. So that's another major one. Justin Jefferson, he actually left the game with a quad injury, but he said he already ready that he's going to play this week. So that's not a really major injury. Wasn't a major injury, but he did leave the game though with that injury. So that's just another one to keep note of. Maybe double check that before game time, just because he is one of the top fantasy guys out there. So some other minor ones: Taj Spears, ankle injury. No worry, he might miss a few weeks. They were saying for him. Tank Bigsby, who actually had a pretty good game the other week. He's injured in the first quarter during a kickoff return. Never re-entered the game. They said it's a shoulder injury, so he's not coming back. He might be back this week. A couple late scratches, though, too. A.J. Brown was a late addition to the injury report, the hamstring strain. He was out this week. Hopefully you caught that before that. Another one is stranger ones. Evan Ingram was ruled out right before game time, actually. I had him in one of my leagues. I didn't even know he was ruled out. Hamstring strain is what they were saying as he's pregame warming up. Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Yeah, another one. And then Amon-Ra St. Brown, a knee injury. They didn't really release anything on him yet on how long he's going to be out. They're still doing tests and MRIs on him. So some very major injuries actually this week. And then a very minor one, Taysom Hill. We're probably not starting him, a chest injury. More of a gadget guy. You're really not getting any fantasy points from him. But then another one, though, too, not non-injury related. Bryce Young announced today he lost his starting job. So just a big note there that I know it's just brutal, but He has been underperformed, but I'm still kind of shocked that they pulled the plug on him after only 2 weeks, and I've just given him a little more time to develop him in some games. And Carolina's not
He
going
made the
anywhere.
decision though. He made the decision too, though. He kind of wanted it. He asked the coach, even like he's embarrassed and stuff. Poor guy. I feel bad for him. It's
Yeah,
weird, you feel bad for a number one draft point choice that already should be set for life with money. I mean, the number one pick makes money, maybe like what 25, 35 million tops, as long as it doesn't blow it. But you still feel bad because he couldn't take the pressure, and then here's CJ Stroud just freaking
balling.
manning up and just balling out. I mean, it's just that guy's like, give me the pressure. I'll be an
Yeah,
NFL
I'll take the
quarterback.
ball.
But at the same time, you have to see the situation. CJ Stroud was put on a team ready to win. That helped his confidence. They threw Bryce Young on a terrible team and said, here, start. That's when you don't start the quarterback,
Yeah,
And you can kind of see a little bit about that with Caleb Williams because, Caleb, that offense is still not ready. It's got a new offense coordinator, Shane Waldron. Everybody's out of position. There's constantly jumping off sides. I'm not so sure that Caleb should even be starting myself, but here it is, Dave.
yeah. But the other thing too with Caleb was I watched the game too. Actually, their offensive line, I hate to say it, is just terrible. Like he
Yeah.
has no time
Another
to
reason.
throw.
Yeah. Another
And
reason.
like you can't put a rookie back there and expect him to try to like win games when he can't even get time to throw the ball. And then he's like kind of on edge anytime he does get the chance to throw the ball. He's gonna make those rookie mistakes where he's not seeing the right reads or he's missing a guy. But you can't do that when he finally does have time to throw. He does make those mistakes, then you're screwed because then those other times when he doesn't have time, he's just getting mauled by the other team's D line. Yeah, it wasn't good. He didn't have time at all. It didn't look good.
Right. All right. Back to injuries. Is that it? I have a
CMC is the
few.
other one placed on IR, so he's going to be out for a minimum of
Everyone
4
knows that
weeks with
one.
that Achilles tendonitis. So, but those are the big major ones actually. What did I miss, Kiev?
Tank Bigsby, second string running back for the Jaguars. Did you mention him?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So you did mention him. I just must have been searching while you did. David Bell has that dislocated hip. Not a big receiver or anything, but just something to mention. Maybe it means more targets for the main guys. Justin Herbert has his ankle, but I think he'll be okay. But we'll see. He definitely got imaging done afterwards.
Oh, actually, one more other one too. Sort of, but in Debo Samuel actually just announced today too, calf strain. He might be out 1 to 2 weeks as well.
Yeah, Debo Samuel. Yep. I added him. And Rashad White has that groin injury. I think you mentioned him. Really sad for Tua, like you said. I hope. I mean, I don't understand that contract, and when the dude was one concussion away, if possible, serious damage. But now that he's getting paid, and everybody's like for him playing on that side, but nobody else will be. They'll find a specialist, and that they'll pay some money to say, well, you can risk it, but it'll disclaim it, of course, and have him sign the dotted line if he's got any brains. But yeah, I mean,
do the teams have insurance on them? Do they?
I can't hear you,
cover
but
that contract? Are they able to cover that contract with
I
insurance?
don't think there's insurance on it. And I know and you're kind of breaking up a little bit. I think your microphone might be something going down with that.
So my question is, does the team or does he have actually insurance on himself as well, so that they cover some of those losses with the contract? So that'd be my big question actually too. With that
Sometimes the player has insurance. I know that, but the team, I don't know. Maybe you're right. I've never heard of insurance for that. Check your microphone real quick, Dave. It's not.
Yeah, I think looks good here.
It just went completely dead. Maybe I'll just make a quick adjustment here and then see if that changes anything. Got a quick question. Parker Bledsoe and anybody else who has questions, feel free to throw them down there. Down by 5, I have Devontae. He has London and Goddard. You think I win? Well, you're down by 5. And London and Goddard probably have a slight advantage over you right now. So I'm going to say, no, I don't think you win. But I'm rooting for you since you're here. So, Parker, I'm definitely rooting for you.
Hopefully the fourth quarter too. Actually, there's only 5 minutes left, so not looking good actually for you at this time.
Yep, you sound way better now. Okay, sounds good. Okay, so let's move to the waiver wire. Samaje Perine, of course, if he's available for the Pacheco. I mean, Pacheco's out 6 to 8 weeks. That's big. What sucks is if you're going to spend your 600, or let's just say it's $1,000 bidding, and you're going to spend $800 on Perine. It's not going to help you for later. I mean, if you have some depth there, let's say you're sucking at running back and you want P. Ryan for 8 weeks. Are you going to put $800 up for 8 weeks? Probably not. So that's another problem. Running back Carson Steele is the other one, Dave. And actually, I have a feeling he might get a lot of the workload, and P. Ryan might kind of do his same role, So,
and I agree with you on
those
that.
are my
I
thoughts.
say Carson Steele is going to be the lead back, or not the lead back, but the early down back. First and second down, Carson Steele is going to see a lot of those carries, and I think Samaje Perine, like you said, is kind of just going to remain that third down back and kind of receiving back when they need someone in for receiving yards. So I do agree with you on that. I think Carson Steele could be a steal, actually.
Yeah. What else? Tutu Atwell for the cup injury. I think he's big because I think everyone picked up DeMarcus Robinson for the cup injury, or for the Puka injury. So I would say Tutu Atwell is the next guy. Bucky Irving, dude, if he's on your waivers, I think he's kind of taken over. And that sucks for me because I have Rashad White in a league that's really deep. I think it's my league, Dave, and somebody already drafted Bucky, and I think Bucky's going to take over there, and White's a bit banged up, so I am concerned about that.
Yeah, I actually have Bucky in your league.
Oh, it's you, of course. I think you just grabbed him right before I did too. That hurt. We'll talk some trades later. Let's see here. We got Julius Chestnut for the Tyja Spears if you're desperate. Andy Dalton, the Red Rocket, is replacing Bryce Young. He's back again. This dude will not go away. But I'll tell you this. The number dropped from
he plays too, so you cannot not pick him up. If you need a quarterback, Dalton's going to put up numbers for you, I tell you.
And I will say the Raiders were favored by 7. Now they're only favored by 5. So he was worth an extra 2 points to the line. So that tells you something. The quarterbacks reach for the Skylar Thompson. We'll stream for the Dolphins, but I'll tell you this: if you're picking up Skylar Thompson, you yourself are reaching for the sky to try to win your fantasy because this dude sucks. I mean, terrible. And he's bad on the road. He's got the best receivers. And Dave, I've been through this in 2022 with Skylar Thompson. I thought that just as Tyreek Hill would save him. No, he was still bad. It did not matter. Running back Braylon Allen, if he's on your waivers, you got to pick him up because they're using their running backs hard. I can see Breece Hall getting hurt. The dude scored a couple touchdowns last week. He was fantastic. Ex-Badger. The one shining thing we can say about the Badgers after this awful weekend that we endured.
Yes.
Wide receiver Quentin Johnson, 2 touchdowns. He's tall. He's going to get a lot of end zone targets. Tight end Hunter Henry had 12 targets last game. So if you need to stream a tight end because maybe you had Njoku or something, Hunter Henry is getting pretty relevant for Brissett. Tight end Brenton Strange for the strange Evan Ingram pregame injury, Dave. Isaac Guerrero is now the 49ers handcuff for a few weeks from Mason. Tight end Mike Gesicki got 9 targets versus the refs last week. And wide receiver Chris Conley for the Debo Samuel injury. Ethan Oblak, trade Adams and Stevenson for Olave and JT.
Oh, in a heartbeat, yes.
Hell yeah.
Olave all day. JT is one of my top running backs here, and he's one of my favorite running backs this year. Indy's going to run the ball a ton with him and Richardson. Yeah, all day I take Olave and JT.
All day. The Patriots are only going to get worse. This was a quick start. Jonathan Taylor is going to still get a ton of carries. I would do that in a heartbeat. I would grab Olave. Olave is more trustable than Adams. You have to remember, Adams had it pretty easy so far. Let's just face it. Like that game against the Ravens, they were getting no penalties. It's not going to be like that when they play the Chiefs twice, when they play the Chargers another time, and then when they obviously play who else is in that division? Raiders, Chargers, Chiefs, and who am I spacing on? Raiders, Chargers, Denver. Well, Denver, maybe Denver. That would be good for them. Brenton.
I do agree, though. Adams has with Minshew's throwing to Adams. I do like Adams actually this year, but I think Stevenson does cool off though going forward. I think they start stacking the box eventually.
Well, look at how good the Saints are doing too. Olave, I mean, he's at least equal to Adams now. So you got to, and I do agree, Adams is doing good. Why don't you give us your waiver wire, Dave?
Yep, Justin Fields and Malik Willis. I like both of them. They've been both starting. I think that Malik Willis gets at least another starter or two. especially this week. I like him to get at the Titans. Fields at the Chargers. The Chargers have been playing well in D, but Fields has actually been pretty solid, and he gets you those rushing yards too, which is very important in some leagues with only the 4 points. I do like the Steele pickup. I like him a lot this week. Dare, I'm gonna butcher the name. I always do. Dario Ogunlanawe and Cam Akers.
Ogunbowale, baby. Come on,
Ogunbowale.
Badger.
I know it's an ex-Badger too. I always butcher his name though. But anyways, I like both of them. Akers seemed to get more of the carries though last week when Mixon went out. So Cam Akers is your probably better bet if you're looking for running back this week. Like I will.
I forgot about him. Thank you. I'll write him down.
So that's actually a good pickup. Even Damon Pierce might be. He's kind of lost in that backfield too, but that might actually be a good pickup. I like the Braylon Allen pickup a lot. He had a touchdown. Him and Brees Hall each did this past week. Alexander Madison, actually, Zavon White's actually struggled the first couple weeks. So Madison may start to get some more carries there. He's actually had a touchdown each week, both weeks. So
Mixon might play still, though, right? Mixon might play still. That's the problem.
Yeah. So, but then I like the Quinn Johnson pickup. Actually, the guy that I really like for the Rams is actually Jordan Whittington. I think he could be a sneaky pickup this week. Jalen Naylor, actually, when he played this past week, he filled in for Jordan Addison, and he looked pretty good. He had a decent game. He had a touchdown as well. So keep an eye on him. Maybe I definitely pick him up and start him this week over with Jordan Addison if he's out again. Like I said, I like Jordan Whittington. Jalen Polk actually looked pretty good this past week. Jerry Jeudy actually had a decent game. And then as I say, Britton Clovey actually tonight for the Eagles actually looked pretty good. I thought Jahan Dotson was going to take over that second role tonight, but he was actually a surprise guy tonight when I was watching the game, and they went to him a lot. He's actually had 6 or 7 receptions already tonight. So just keep an eye on him if actually A.J. Brown is out again next week. I did have the Hunter Henry pickup. I like the Gesicki a lot, actually. He almost had 100 yards this past week. He had like 91 yards, 7 receptions. So he did have a really good week. Zach Ertz has actually been playing well this year. If you kept an eye on him, he's actually playing well for the Commanders, actually. He was one of their leading receivers this past week and last week as well. So keep an eye on him. A couple defenses I like this week. I like Tampa Bay at the Broncos. Broncos haven't been playing really well. And they got that Ricky Nix at quarterback. Seahawks at the Dolphins with Tua out. And Skylar Thompson starting. I like that matchup. And the Browns against the Giants. That's going to just be a bloodbath, I think. The Browns are just going to crush the Giants, I think, on defense. And Daniel Jones did actually look good this past week, though. So I do have to give him
against
that.
Washington, man. I mean, that's the only times he's going to look good is against those bad defenses. I should have mentioned the Titans D against Malik Willis. They're not going to let that fly next week.
I don't know. Malik Willis is going to be pumped up for this game, I think. Even though he didn't let on his presser after the game that he's like, oh, I didn't know we played the Titans after I got traded. I'm like, yeah, you did. You knew who you're playing them.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you this: the Titans look good against the run, against the Packers, against the Jets. Aaron Rodgers run Jets, and against the Bears. Even though Will Levis completely blew the game, and their special teams blew the game, so that's what I think. But yeah, going back to defense. Any others before we get into non-starters?
No, let's go to the non-starters.
Go for it.
All right, great. A couple of non-starters trending up. I do like this week. Like I said, I like Jalen Polk actually for the Patriots. He's coming on a little bit as a rookie now. Braylon Allen, I like him too, actually. He's actually trending up for me now after this past week. I think he's just going to get more and more action, like you said. They need to give Brees Hall some rest and keep him healthy. So I like Braylon Allen. He looks explosive every time he gets the ball. So I really like him, actually. The guy I like this week, actually, Deshaun Watson. He hasn't played well the last couple of weeks, but they're playing the Giants. Giants are not that good. I like him this week, actually. He'll be trending up. Jerome Ford, too. I like him this week, too, against that Giants defense. I don't like them at all. Another one I do like, actually, is going to be the Buccaneers, actually, against the Broncos D. I know the Broncos normally have a tough D, but actually Baker Mayfield's been looking good the last couple of weeks, and I do like Bucky Irving against them, too. I think they do well. I like Malik Willis against the Titans. I think he has a big game. I know they have a good rush D, but I think they do well still against them. I think Malik Willis has a good game against them, especially that's his old team too. I think it's kind of be a little revenge game for him. So I do like that matchup. Raiders, any Raiders you have, you're definitely starting this week against the Panthers. The Panthers are just horrible. I'm definitely starting. Actually, Jacoby Myers can have a good game. Bowers actually that rookie he's actually been popping off this year too as well. If you have him in any of your leagues, Bowers is actually one of the rookies this year that I really like. So he's had 2 great games the first 2 weeks. He's had quite a few targets and receptions as well. So definitely get him in your lineup if you got him. I like Alexander Madison too. I like him. I think he takes over more carries as the year goes on. Like I said, he scored a touchdown in the first 2 weeks as well. So I like that matchup actually too as well.
Well, Zamir White too. He's not exactly a start. Well, maybe he is a starter. You're right. He is a starter, so you probably do
Yeah.
have to go to
I
Alexander.
think a lot of people definitely did draft him this year, so I think he's a legit starter. Jameson Williams, he didn't really have that good of a game this past week, but I like him against that Cardinals D. Cardinals have been getting up quite a few points these past couple weeks, except for this past week, but I definitely like that matchup as well.
Good
Chiefs
call.
this week, I like Cameron Steele against the Falcons D. They actually look pretty good tonight though against the Eagles, so I do have to give them that. It's just the Falcons though. I don't think their D is really that good. I do like Cameron Steele. He might be a nice sneaky pick this week actually against them. And then we do actually have 2 Monday night games this week, which I was pretty surprised. They usually don't do this until later in the year, but there's some nice matchups here as well. Bengals need to win. I think this is the must win for them almost. And I think the Bengals show up this week. Chase Brown could have a good game this week, possibly. And I'm going to butcher the name too again. So Ferris, he had 2 touchdowns this past week, so I think he gets the ball more too as well. And I do like Chase Daniels actually. I think he has a good game against the Bengals too. So I like that. I like this matchup actually for the Monday night game that could come down for a couple people. The Bills, I like Curtis Samuel. He needs a breakout game. I think this could be it against the Jaguars. Jaguars haven't looked good on defense this whole year either yet. So those are my non-starters trending up for this week.
Yeah. I think you did really good on that. There's a lot of them that I had. Jameson Williams is a great one because Amon-Ra is going to be banged up, and that Cardinals D is not as good as what you think it is because they played it just a 0 offensive line on the Rams. And there is 2 Monday night games. This is very strange. So I agree.
Yeah.
Any other questions come in? We have only a few minutes left, so shoot them out there. Let's move to, well, actually, I got a few others. Jaden Daniels versus the Bengals. I think the Bengals D is not that good. I think he's going to be able to run all over him. And Jaden Daniels has proven to be a really good rushing yard quarterback so far. He's doing great at it. Zach Moss versus the Commanders also. I think Zach Moss is going to look good for a non-starter trending up. Chris Conley against the Rams. Now that the Niners are going to lose Debo, it's going to be Chris Conley that's going to be getting some of those. But the mustache against the Panthers, I have to say that. I think they're in a letdown spot, but still, he's doing really good. That Panthers D is just despicable, Dave. And I actually think Andy Dalton does okay against the Raiders. I think that's interesting.
Actually, I do like that matchup too. Yeah, I like Dalton against the Raiders as well. Raiders haven't really proven anything on defense. Yeah, and Dalton, you know what you're going to get with him. The Red Rocket, he's going to get you 250 yards, touchdown or 2. He's a capable fill-in for sure.
Absolutely, and Bucky Irving should have a game against the Broncos. So I expect that. The Titans, like I said, Dave, I think they're going to do well and stop the Packers. We'll see. Jerry Jetty against the Giants too, and Sean Watson. So I agree with you there. I think Jerry Jetty is actually going to finally have a good game, so he could be streamed.
Yeah, he started to come on this past week actually a little bit. So I think he could have
good DFS player.
Yeah,
a good DFS this week because he'll be cheap on the cheap. So that's for sure. And then this is a good little segue into my bus. I agree. I disagree with you. Malik Willis is not going to have a good game against the Titans because the Titans, where they focus in, is they're weak in the middle of the field, but they're really good on the ends because they have some great corners, some good safeties, and they have a good defensive line. So I think that they're going to stop Malik Willis. They're not going to fall for that. But that's all they really have is a really good defense. The Packers still could mess some stuff up by just forcing those stupid Levis turnovers. But Malik Willis, I have him as an absolute bust this week. Matt Stafford versus the Niners, forget it. You can't start Matt Stafford. He is done until that offensive line comes back. And I hate to say it, but Kyron Williams is done too. There is no offensive line there. They did get they got one, their left tackle back who was suspended 2 games. It's still not enough. They still lost a ton of guys. And now without Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua, it screws everything up for the whole team. So I'm sorry. I have to bench Kyron Williams against the Niners D, especially, who's going to be very pissed this week. Najee Harris versus the Chargers D is a little suspect. I'd look for other options. DeAndre Swift for the Bears is unstartable now. That offense is just. I almost want to see them the preseason Bears again. This regular season Bears stuff is not looking good on offense. Quarterback Anthony Richardson against the Bears D is dangerous because I think the Bears D is going to lock his butt down. J.K. Dobbins, he's doing so great so far. He is the number 1 back for for the Chargers, but I just do not like him against the Steelers that much. And I also don't like Justin Herbert versus the Steelers. TJ Watt is the best player, and he's been just smoking people. Tyreek Hill, sorry, until further notice, him and Jalen Waddle are very worrisome, and especially on the road. Maybe at home you can start him, but dude, I'm sorry, Tyreek Hill. I mean, he's like the third pick of the draft or second some. That's really sad. So, Dave, who are your busts?
Guy I really don't like, actually, I don't like any of the Patriots this week. I think the Jets actually step up on D. They looked better this week on defense, too. The Jets do it. I have a good defense, I think. I'm not starting. Jacoby Brissett is probably borderline, but Rod Stevenson, I think, struggles this week. I think this is the 1 week that he starts to struggle against that tough D. Jets have a good run D, too, so I don't like him against that. I don't like any of your Bears this week. I hate to say it. Caleb Williams, I don't like. I don't like DeAndre Swift. DeAndre Swift had a few nice moves this past week, and they got quite a few carries, but Colts have a pretty decent run D, and they have some good linebackers, so don't like that matchup at all either. I agree with you on the Chargers. I don't like Gus Edwards or Dobbins against that tough Steelers D. I think Justin can struggle as well against them. Justin hasn't really put up any big numbers this year either. The first 2 games are more of a run-heavy team now too as well. So if you did draft Justin, which I stayed away from this year because he screwed me last year, I'm pretty happy about. But yeah, definitely don't like that matchup. I do not like you said too, I don't like any of the Rams against the 49ers. Definitely Kyron Williams, Stafford. I don't like that matchup. I'm staying away from the Ravens Cowboys game. Those are 2 tough defenses. Cowboys are going to be pissed off after losing. Ravens need to win. They're 0-2. So this is going to be a good game, I think. But I don't want any of the fantasy guys in this game. I'm downgrading. I'm sorry. Dak Prescott. I don't like him in this game. I think the Ravens step up this week. I think Henry could struggle a little bit against that tough Cowboys D too. So I'm trying to start as many of those guys in that game. I think both teams are going to play well, and I think the defense will step up both of them in that game too, because both are looking for a win this week. And I don't like the Jaguars against the Bills. The Bills defense actually look good. They've lost so many guys, but a lot of their younger guys are stepping up, which I really like. And Trevor Lawrence has just looked lost this year. Both games, he hasn't really played that well, and the whole team hasn't really looked that good for the Jaguars. So I'm downgrading those guys too. So if you're starting Trevor Lawrence, I'm definitely not starting him this week. He's one of my guys I'm trending down as well.
Yeah, it's sad. They have a lot of talent. I mean, Lawrence, he shows flashes, and then they just crap out in the red zone. It's just a weird team. It's like a statistically really sound team, and then just when they get to the red zone, they just completely screw up. The Bills' defense is semi-suspect, but at the Bills on a night game is a little bit tough. So, you'll have to see the best Jaguars there if they're going to score some points. I do like Robinson there, though, on the Jaguars, the rookie.
Yes.
He's been really, really good, and I'm glad I drafted him in that.
Thomas, you mean Brian Thomas Jr.?
Yeah, I meant Thomas. Why did I say Robinson? I meant Brian Thomas Jr. Yeah, Brian Thomas Jr. Yeah, he's been awesome. He's actually been better than the other guys there too. And Ingram's been hurt, obviously.
Christian Kirk is horrible this past week.
Yeah, what's going on with him? I was going to ask you, what do you think about him, man? It's been bad.
I think they were saying too that he's actually like the third receiver there now. That he's kind of like moved down the depth chart. I'm not really sure what happened there, but he only had 1 catch for I think it was -1 yard or 1 yard last week. He had no counting stats actually this week. So I'm definitely downgrading Kirk too. I don't know what really happened to him. I think that Brian Thomas Jr. actually is the guy stepping up as like the one there. So we'll see what happens with that situation there. And then Gabriel Davis hasn't really done much this year. But he's been steady, kind of consistent over the last couple of weeks, but no big games for Gabriel Davis. So it's really him and Brian Thomas Jr. right now there.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's really what it is. Well, that leaves us our nasty sleeper, Dave. Do you want to go first? Do you want me to go first?
Go ahead. Hopefully you just don't take mine.
I'm not taking yours because you don't have this. This is weird. It's Deontay Foreman. Cleveland, it's interesting, but the Giants defense is so bad, and I expect Cleveland to have a pretty good lead in this game, that they're not going to hurt any more running backs. They're going to give a real share. And I think Deontay Foreman, who had 14 carries last week,
it's not a bad. I like the pick. I like the pick actually. But it was a surprising pick, but I do like it though. I'm not going to argue with you on that one.
Yeah. Thank you.
Last week.
Thanks. Yeah, it's kind of like the same philosophy of starting Alexander Madison too. I just think that Deontay Foreman is just going to eat against the Giants. I don't know, that run D is so bad. The whole D is bad for the Giants. But Cleveland, they got Chubb still injured, obviously, and they have a couple other running backs that are banged up. Pierre Strong Jr. Is viewed week to week with a hamstring injury now, so it's just the two guys there.
Oh
Ford
yeah.
and Strong and Foreman. So I think Foreman's a pretty good nasty sleeper.
I'm going with the stash actually, Gardner Minshew. I'm going with him actually. I like his matchup this week against that poor
Yeah.
Carolina's D. I think he's been solid this whole year. Actually, he was big in that upset win over the Ravens. I'm going with him as my D nasty sleeper of the week. I think he gets you 250 yards, a couple touchdowns plus, maybe even one more. So I'm liking him this week. I think they crushed the Panthers, and I think he has a huge game.
I love it. Great pick. Anything else before we shut things down for the week?
No, make sure you just follow up on some of those players like Justin Jefferson, a couple of those other guys later in the week, and check the inactives before game time too. I missed the Evan Ingram thing, so some of those guys before game time can just flip it like that where they don't play. So definitely check those injuries before.
I'm gonna add Darnell Mooney. He's killing it tonight. He just made a 26-yard reception. They're driving. They might win this game. So
he had a 42-yard touchdown before too.
Eagles playing it safe, got to kick a field goal, only up 6 points. Oh, geez, they're in some trouble here. This is going to be one hell of a finish. Well, thanks, Dave, for coming on, my man. We'll see you guys next week. And if you have any questions, feel free to tweet us at The Oddsbreakers. Email us at info@theoddsbreakers.com. Have a great week and go get some winners.
Go Pack.